If you're a Christian woman who wants to lose weight, but you're stuck feeling overwhelmed, confused, maybe even a little bit embarrassed that you're still struggling with this, then today's episode is for you. I see you if you are somebody who's been hiding in pictures. Maybe you're tired of starting over every Monday and you have this heart for God, but you feel so frustrated with yourself. You look into your closet, you see a whole slew of different sizes of clothes, and you have this desire to follow Jesus, you love him, and you also are taking care of everyone else. But when it comes to your own health, you feel like you just keep letting yourself down. So let's dive in to exactly what I would tell the beginner version of me and what I want every woman who is just getting started in her Christian weight loss journey to know.
Hey, welcome to the Kingdom Fit Moms podcast, where we believe that you can go on a journey to lose weight for the last time. I know you've tried all the things and you may not believe me yet, but when you do weight loss the Kingdom Fit Moms way, everything changes. You're in the right place if weight is constantly on your mind, you're confused about food, you're missing out on memories, and maybe even putting your dreams off for another day because this weight struggle is no joke. We're a community and we're on a mission to invite God into this weight loss journey so you can shed the burden and shine your light. I want you to start living and believing in the version of yourself that heaven sees. Let's get started.
All right, it's time for our Fit Mom Win of the Week from inside of Fit Moms Academy. So I'm going to read to you with one of our Fit Moms shared in our community. She said, "Yesterday I prepped and planned a lot of food. Made egg bites with kale and peppers, thawed chicken, made chicken breasts for lunches, got chicken out for dinner tonight, and made taco meat. This is new to me. This morning and today I had Bible time with my hubby, put dinner in the crock pot, chicken, carrots, potatoes, and seasonings, and I finished a walking workout that actually kicked my butt. Felt so good to move my body again with a little bit of intensity. Working on my water to be able to check off all 3 of today's February challenge." So hey, we are totally celebrating you, Fit Mom, and I wanted to highlight this testimony this week because a lot of what we do inside of the Academy is help you to actually take action and make changes in the small things that are going to make a world of difference. So she alluded to one of our February challenges that we have going on. We have a challenge every single month that you can opt into or not, but it helps you to stay on track and to be accountable and to have some fun. So as we are gearing up into March, we're having a March Madness challenge inside of Fit Moms Academy. And again, our heart really is to show you that all of these things like meal prepping and drinking our water and moving our bodies in simple ways, if we do them consistently, it will make a world of difference. We don't need fad diets. We don't need the latest thing. You don't even need a GLP-1. You can do this without all these fancy man-made things. We just have to help you set up a system and to help keep you accountable. So if you want to learn more about what's inside our community, you can go to kelseywickhenhauser.com/join, and we cannot wait to have you inside of our tribe. All right, let's get started on today's lesson. So I know for some of you, I've told you my story about weight loss and why I'm here doing this, but a little piece of that story is that I grew up thinking that you just grow up and become overweight, that adults are just overweight and that's just part of the plan. That was seriously a part of the, like what I just thought happened when you got older. And so then when I discovered that that wasn't the case, my dad actually encouraged me in that. I think a seed was planted at a young age that I don't want that to be my story. And, a lot of times we have to go through a period of struggling to figure out where the freedom lies. And so for me, a lot of the struggle came with trying to out-exercise a bad diet and trying different types of plans to get the weight, being like perfectly where I wanted it and obsessing over every little pound and exercising so much that I could have, treats at night. It was kind of a disordered way of staying healthy, right? Because it was all about performance and being at a certain, look aesthetically and making, almost like freaking out if I saw the scale go up a single pound. So, I realized over time that I was trying to fix a spiritual and emotional struggle with a food plan. I remember, being in my early 20s and thinking, like, this is not freedom. There's got to be a way to eat and to just live where I don't feel like I'm bound by food. And so I set out on this journey to try to figure that out. And I get it that so many of you share that you're stuck in this exhaustion and resentment and loneliness and emotional eating at night and trying to figure out, how do I balance, using food for comfort in real life, and how do I just eat, all of these things that are constantly in your mind. I get it. Because sometimes for many of us, food, it's not necessarily hunger that's driving us to eat. It's getting a sense of relief. And for many of us, food, it becomes that only moment of quiet in a loud life. So God He doesn't want to create shame there if that's you. He can actually meet us all here in this space and take us all on this journey of healing. So if I was starting over today, here's exactly what I would focus on. So I'm just going to share, if I could go back to that, young adult self and tell her, like, hey, this is how you achieve freedom from the struggle with food and dieting and the scale and body image and all that. And this is what I would say. So number one, I would start with this mindset of stewardship and not weight loss. God has entrusted a body to all of us. And I think that we often forget that this is our most valuable asset, our body. If we did not have a body, we would not be able to live, obviously, right? And our body houses the most important thing we can have, which is the Holy Spirit. So it is not, I would just encourage my younger self, or maybe you, if you're starting new in this Christian weight loss journey, that it's not about punishment and it's not about appearance obsession. It's about stewardship. It's about getting to cultivate this environment of nourishment and health and energy and zeal for life and all of those things. So weight loss, it stopped being exhausting for me when it stopped being about proving something, when it stopped being about, oh my gosh, I need to get toned triceps and I need to make sure I look a certain way in these jeans, and I need to make sure that the scale does not get above this number. Everything changed for me. And I would also encourage my younger self, and maybe you too, to invite God into this process first. So how do you do that? So obviously prayer is a big part of this, but it's not prayer alone. There's a lot of different ways that we teach you when you hop inside of our Fit Moms Academy community to pray. Sometimes it's prayers of lament, of saying, like, Lord, I am struggling and I'm just going to be real with you. Like, this is really hard. Would you just meet me in the struggle? And sometimes there are prayers to break off strongholds that we've been letting rule us, right? And sometimes we have to ask God to reveal certain patterns and to reveal the why behind certain patterns, and to pray for forgiveness for someone who tempted us to walk in sin for those patterns. There's 100 different types of prayers that we may need to guide you into. Sometimes, I have one client that I'm working with her a little bit one-on-one, and we're working through some inner vows that she made related to her weight loss journey. So it just depends, but I just want to encourage you to seek out, Lord, how do you want to be invited into this process? And sometimes we have to admit that our emotional eating needs to be given over to the Lord, or fear. Maybe we're living in fear and we're coping with that fear by eating. Or maybe we're so exhausted and we're afraid to have boundaries and create margin. And it's leading us to use food as this way of coping. So there are a lot of different reasons for the why. I loved God deeply, even from, again, my young adulthood, but I had not really invited him into my health. A lot of what I talk about on this podcast related to food is eat real food, eat real food. And for some, it seems oversimplified because we have been living in this diet culture for so long that we feel like we need this very specific way of eating. And I get that. Sometimes it is nice to have boundaries around it, but ultimately I believe in my heart of hearts, that if you can get to the point where you fall in love with what he created, if you realize that his food is good and you understand what it's doing for your body, that's the journey I went on to break out of this dieting obsession and to go into a stewardship of my body, but also to fall in love with his food. When I did that, everything changed for me. So the next thing I would say to my younger self, and this might seem obvious if you're listening to me or if you've been in our community, but I would tell my younger self to stop dieting. You know, so many of us, we see all the ads and the influencers who are teaching, all right, let's do this detox, or let's have this extreme restriction, no sugar ever for the rest of your life, or don't eat carbs or whatever. Or there's a mindset of, again, I'm going to start over on Monday. Monday's the day where everything changes. I would encourage you and encourage my younger self to no longer chase those fast results. As tempting as it can be to want to see the scale drop quickly and to get in shape before the next thing, I would not be chasing that. I would have a long-term mindset because, again, if I think about the transformation that I made, especially in my heart and my mindset in my early 20s, it's shaped the rest of my life. So maybe you're listening and you're in your 30s, maybe you're in your 60s. I don't know where you're at in life, but there's still life left to live, right? And even if it took you an entire year, even if it took a couple of years or more to really get this, it's going to transform the rest of your life so you can walk in freedom, and it's going to shape the next generation, whether you believe that or not, because you're going to become a living testimony and people are going to want to know what you're doing. And so you can tell them, hey, I eat real food and I eat protein to keep me full and I eat enough. I'm not starving myself, you know? So most of us women, we aren't failing at weight loss. We're just really exhausted from starting over. Can I get an amen to that? So the next thing that I would tell myself is to make food really, really simple. Like, it does not need to be a fancy meal. And I actually think that I've been pretty good at this because I can eat the same thing over and over again. And a lot of people get tripped up because maybe your mom had a 5-course meal every dinner or a themed dinner or whatever. I mean, I just want to encourage you to break off that mindset. Like, you can have scrambled eggs and a bag of vegetables, and you have a relatively well-rounded meal, right? You can put some sweet potatoes in the Instapot and pair it with some chickpeas and some vegetables or fruit. Maybe you're going to have leftovers more, and that's something that you've been avoiding. Well, your family, they will survive eating leftovers. Maybe you're going to have yogurt bowls or an oatmeal bar, or I don't know, like, you can keep it really simple. Charcuterie tray for dinner. You're probably a busy mom if you're listening to this, and you do not need Pinterest meals to lose weight. You do not need Pinterest meals to lose weight. Healthy eating, it does not need to be complicated, but it does require consistency. Okay, the 5th thing that I would tell my younger self as I was just beginning this health journey is to walk way more than you think. And this could go either way. It means a couple things to me. It means you actually don't need to run, young Kelsey. Like, you can run. I actually love running, but you don't need to. And walking is just as effective in many, many ways. The point is to stay active during the day. And then maybe you're somebody who is confused by, well, should I be walking? Should I be lifting? Should I be doing this or that? Well, if you make sure that you are walking more than you think, and then you add in some of that strength training, then you're going to be in good shape. In walking, it can help relieve stress. It can help balance out cortisol, so you're not always like on high alert. Helps your nervous system. I love walking and just being in prayer. I've had some of my best ideas on a long walk with nobody to bug me. Some of my best moments of worship. Sometimes I'm crying while I'm walking, just thinking about the goodness of God in my life or where he's bringing me, or crying out to God. So walking is going to be your new best friend, I promise you. Okay, the sixth thing, that's not easy to say, is to choose consistency over motivation, because motivation is fleeting And many of us go into this journey like, I just need to feel motivated again. No, like you don't need motivation. We need to flip it and help you to do things when you are not motivated, because those imperfect days, they count. If you're doing something and going in the right direction, it still counts. Consistency, it looks boring until it changes your life. And then it becomes something that is very attractive. Consistency, it's not dramatic. It's just showing up when nobody claps. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to overhaul everything tomorrow. You do not need fancy workouts, I promise you. If all you did this week was to walk and pray and eat protein, you would already be moving forward. That's what I would tell myself, and then I would drop the mic, right? Okay, so the seventh thing that I would say, and maybe this is all you hear today when you think about, okay, how do I do this Christian weight loss journey? What does this even mean? Okay, so we have to help you to heal the root, young Kelsey, and my friend who's listening on the other side of this podcast. This is what you really need to know, that most of the time the weight, it wasn't the problem. It was just the symptom. I'm going to say that again. The weight, it may not be the problem. It's probably the symptom. Maybe there is some underlying loneliness and, food has become comfort. Maybe there's resentment for where you're at in life, in your marriage or your life situation or your job, and food has become the thing to cope with that. The weight, it's never just about food. It really comes down to, okay, why has this weight struggle existed in the first place? And realizing that God, He's not just interested in changing your body. He wants to heal the places where you've been hiding. Literally, maybe again, you're hiding from pictures, hiding from showing up to volunteer, doing the thing God may be asking you to do, and hiding from the healing. And so every woman that I've worked with, especially at a deep level, when we dive into what's actually going on behind the self-sabotage, behind the emotional eating, behind the stress eating at night, or hiding in the pantry, whatever is actually going on, maybe in ways that you can't even process, when we dive into that, you start to see your world open up in other ways where you're healing in your marriage and in relationships, and just walking in a whole new freedom. So it's a beautiful process if you're willing to go there. Okay, the next thing I would tell my younger self, and hopefully tell you as well, is do not do it alone. It's tempting, especially in this world where we're kind of isolated, to feel like, oh, I can just figure it out. I should be able to do this. But when you're able to just be real and vulnerable and share where you're at, you're going to start seeing that shame lifted. And when you are seen and known, it does something to your heart and your healing in ways that you could never do on your own. And that's really the value. The number one value of being in Fit Moms Academy is that you are seen and known and understood. And you're also pushed forward in a way of saying, but you're not going to stay there. And I have a testimony to bring you there. You get to feed off the energy of other women who are going through this transformation. And again, for me, everything changed when I stopped trying to figure it out alone, and I started leaning into mentorship, and I started diving into the knowledge that I needed to figure out and immersing myself in this place where I wanted to know everything I could about what God thought about my health journey. Okay, the ninth thing that I would say is to expect slow progress, because there's going to be messy weeks, and maybe you have kids, and maybe you're in a season of grief or a season of building something. I don't know, but life it's never perfect and it's never linear. And so fast weight loss, it teaches you nothing about the woman that you actually need to be in order to keep it off. I'm going to say that again. Fast weight loss, it teaches you nothing about the woman that you need to become to keep it off. God, He's often building that endurance before the transformation happens. And that's actually a gift, right? Because you're going to be able to build this muscle that you need in order to have this lasting change. So that's a good thing, my friend. Okay. If I was starting today, I also thought it'd be interesting to share what my non-negotiables would be. Now, in our Fit Moms community, we talk a lot about non-negotiables because if you have a bad week and you have non-negotiables, then you're still going to be moving forward. So a few of the non-negotiables, and I've already alluded to a lot of these, but I walk, and in the past, I would tell myself to walk every single day. So get your steps in, okay? Just make it a non-negotiable in some way. I don't care if you're walking around your island. I've done this many times with babies, trying to get them to fall asleep. Walk, move your body, find a way to stay active all day long in little ways, and that is going to help you in more ways than you can imagine. It can seem like it doesn't matter. I promise you it matters. I would focus on sleep. Okay, I'm in a season with a baby where sleep is precious and it's getting better. But if you are not sleeping well, you are going to have a really hard time succeeding in your weight loss journey. I would also encourage my younger self to stop quitting on the weekends, to see the weekends as just as valuable for your health journey as the rest of the week. Because if you are quitting Friday night through Sunday and saying you're starting over Monday, you're not going to succeed. So maybe those would be a few of my non-negotiables to start. So maybe you've made it to this part of the podcast, and I want to just spend a little bit of time encouraging you that you are not behind. Okay, God has not given up on you because this has been a struggle for so long. Your health, it really matters, and it's because you matter. Your needs matter, and this journey matters for you. So if you can close your eyes, if you're in a place to do that, I would encourage you to do so, or I don't know, try to be still if you're driving or walking or whatever you're doing. Picture this with me, okay? I want you to picture yourself energetic around your kids and no longer hiding in photos, but being proud to be in pictures with your family. I want you to wake up in your mind hopeful and not dreading getting dressed or figuring out what to wear, but just excited to have breath in your lungs and being curious about what the day will bring. I want you to picture yourself confident with your husband and excited to have intimacy with him and just showing up fully you, imperfect like the rest of us, but confident nonetheless. And I want you to picture yourself living into your calling without distraction, namely this distraction of thinking about your weight way too often, right? Let's just live free. Just truly imagine not thinking about your weight every single morning. That freedom, it exists. So if you're listening and you're thinking, yeah, I want this, but I don't know how to actually do that. Well, again, I did not figure this out on my own either. I had mentorship in my life, and I spent a decade diving in and immersing myself to understand what it truly means to be a kingdom fit mom. And so when you come into Fit Moms Academy, it's not just a program or a curriculum, but it's a safe space where women are walking through this journey together. You're going to have coaching to get unstuck, but it's really the place, Fit Moms Academy, it's a place where women, they stop starting over. And when you come into this tribe, you're going to get coaching that's faith-based. We're going to help you to restore the glory of God in real food and have accountability to show up and achieve your goals, and have a safe space to heal roots and build habits simultaneously, because both of those are important. We want to dive deep, and we want you to take action and stop feeling stuck. And the outcomes that I really want for you, if you're just beginning, or maybe you're further along in your journey, but especially if you're just beginning, is the outcomes I want are consistency. And I want you to feel freedom around food, to be able to go into a party and not feel afraid of the food or not sure what to eat and dread being around food. And I want you to have confidence, because there is a world out there that needs a lot more of the light that you have within you. And I don't want that to be stifled anymore. So again, if you're ready to stop starting over, I would love to walk alongside you inside of Fit Moms Academy. So you can go to kelseywickenhauser.com/join and get started today. But ultimately, I just want to encourage you as we end our time together that You don't need another fresh start. You just need a place where you finally stop quitting. And that type of freedom that you're looking for is totally possible. Be blessed, my friend.
Hey Fit Mom, if this episode blessed you today and you can think of somebody else who's struggling in her weight loss journey, would you consider sharing this week's episode with her to give her a sense of hope? And then while you're at it, hop on over to our free Facebook community, Kingdom Fit Moms, for daily encouragement and support. Let's go shed the weight to shine the light.